Alright, let's try this one last time. Um, Hello, welcome to the Nightly News. My name is Andrew Geczy, and I had an idea, and more I'm starting to think it was a terrible idea, but I had an idea. And this idea was that, hey, since I spend every night from like 11 to 1 reading the news to collect articles to post on my Geekly Weekly blog. So I thought, which I release every Friday on my site, 99geek.ca. Every Monday I release writing that, like novels or scripts or things that people can read. Then on Wednesday I release video game streams, and then on Friday I release a blog called the Geekly Weekly. And what the Geekly Weekly does is, let me make sure that this is all working out okay. Who knows if it is. What the Geekly Weekly is it's a ranking of all the TV that came out over the week, as well as a coming soon of all the TV, movies, and video games that are coming out over the next week. And then underneath that, there are important headlines that I thought people should know. And so to collect those headlines, I spend a lot of time every night going through my news feeds. Whoops, I shouldn't have closed that. And I thought, hey, instead of just doing this by myself, why don't I do it on camera? And then other people would be able to watch and possibly learn something. And it was a great idea. Unfortunately, my laptop keeps failing me. So that great idea is not so great anymore. But we're going to try one more time to do this. So my name is Andrew Geczy. Welcome to the Nightly News. We always start with city news, which is just, for the most part, because they're lazy bums, it's just an aggregate for the Associated Press alongside the Canadian press. They release both, so it's a great way to just kind of get a snapshot of a day in the news. So that's what we're going to go through and see if there's anything interesting going on. Well, that I just didn't see. Beijing may have tried to discourage Canadians from voting Conservative. All I have seen is quite the opposite. A federal research unit detected that what might be a Chinese Communist Party information operation that aimed to discourage Canadians of Chinese heritage from voting for the Conservatives in the last federal election. Well, explains why I wouldn't have seen it. The September 13th, 2021 analysis by Rapid Response Mechanism Canada, which tracks foreign interference, says researchers observed Communist Party media accounts on Chinese social media platform Douyin widely sharing a narrative that the Conservatives would all but sever diplomatic relations with Beijing. I mean, either way, it seems like we would be severing ties in many ways with Beijing. Trudeau is not exactly a China sympathizer. Curious. What disinformation? I'd be very curious. Conservative MP Michael Chong, the party's foreign affairs critic, said in an interview the analysis is another piece of evidence that the communist leadership in Beijing interfered in the last general election by spreading disinformation. Can we get an example? Can we get perhaps multiple examples? Because I have not seen any such thing. And I'd be really curious what something like that looks like. The analyst first noticed a narrative about the Conservatives in two articles published September 8th by the Global Times, a state-owned media tabloid. Okay, but who's reading this state-owned media tabloid? RRM believes the Global Times coverage was prompted by a story in the Ottawa-based Hill Times newspaper that examined Canadian parties' positions on Canada-China relations. The analysis says it is likely that the Global Times... So, all of this is just them saying that... So, they said that conservatives would be anti-China, and now the conservatives are saying that that is disinformation being spread by China to influence the elections. Okay. To that, all I can say is moving on. Let's see here. Let's hope so. Liberal NDP agreement changed political dynamics in Parliament Hill. Well, let's hope so. German faces gas supply crisis, declares alarm level. I mean, that's all of us. Germany activated the second phase of its three-stage emergency plan for national gas supplies Thursday, saying the country faces a crisis and warning that storage targets for the winter are at risk due to dwindling deliveries from Russia. The government said the decision to raise the level to alarm follows the cuts to Russian deliveries made since June 14th and the continued high market price for gas. The third and highest stage is the emergency level, so we're not yet at emergency. This isn't DEFCON 1, this is DEFCON 3 apparently. It said that while gas storage facilities are currently filled to 58% higher than at this time last year, the goal of reaching 90% by December won't be achievable without further measures. Cool. Then we are in a gas crisis. I honestly care less and less. We should be pivoting more towards renewable energies anyway, and this, instead of this being like an alarm bell for us to double down on bullshit fossil fuels, I think we should be doubling down on renewable energy instead, and electric vehicles and all that kind of nonsense. Anyway, moving on. What's in the news today? A new survey finds almost half Canadians who rent will continue to do so indefinitely and aren't sure when they'll be able to get into the housing market. Yeah, that's me. Renters surveyed by insurance firm Canada Life cited a lack of cash, fear, and uncertainty as reasons for staying on the sidelines, with almost 73% saying it's a bad time to buy a house, and for 17% saying they'll never buy one. Yeah, that sounds like me. MPs will head off to a summer barbecue, I don't care. Despite progress in Canada in the field of transgender health care for the more than 100,800 trans or non-binary Canadians, access to gender-affirming care comes with barriers and delays that vary by province. Faye Johnston, a trans activist and executive director of Wisdom to Action, a queer-owned consulting group working in transgender health, says that despite an improved national understanding of gender-affirming care, transgender health access seems to have fallen entirely off the radars of most provincial and territorial governments. We've got a patchwork system full of inconsistencies and a small set of phenomenal healthcare providers who are going above and beyond to try to provide gender-affirming care. Each province or territory has its own set of regulations. So okay, cool, good for them. High gas prices have Wallace Reed looking for a new career. Good for him. Oh, he was an Uber driver or something? Cool. That sucks. Do I want to click that? No, I don't. No, I don't. Maybe I'll just keep it in the background for later. I'm super curious what he has to say about Joss Whedon. But anyway, in entertainment, still don't care. What's up with this extreme intoxication bill? Oh yeah, it makes it so that will make criminal liability in cases of violent crime where the offender can prove they were in a state of negligent, self-induced extreme intoxication. So by doing this, it will make people still guilty, even if they were extremely drunk. That sounds good to me. I'm tired of people using drinking as an excuse. I'm just tired of drinking at all. I think alcohol is awful, and you shouldn't drink alcohol. instead you should smoke weed, because people don't smoke weed and then go out and kill people or loot or whatever. They smoke some weed and they sit on a couch and eat potato chips. And so it's better than alcohol. The World Health Organization considers declaring... Yes, that's old news. Norway Central Bank hikes key policy interest rate to 1.25%. La 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 la. Myanmar says Suu Kyi held alone in new prison quarters. Well, wow. They gave her a cake. They gave her new prison quarters. It's just, they're really going all out on her birthday. Okay, something about offshore wind is being boosted by President Joe Biden trying to help with climate change. At a White House meeting, Biden administration officials will meet with governors and labor leaders to announce commitments to expand key elements of the offshore industry, including manufacturing facilities, ports, and workforce training and development. In working with states and private sector, the White House said it will provide Americans with cleaner and cheaper energy, create good-paying jobs, and invest billions in new American energy supply chains, including construction of wind turbines, shipbuilding, and servicing. Biden has set a goal of deploying 30 gigawatts of offshore wind power by 2030, enough to provide electricity to 10 million homes, support 77,000 jobs, and spur $12 billion per year in private investment in offshore wind. Offshore wind is a key component in the Democratic president's plan to make the nation's electric grid carbon-free by 2035. Go for it. Connect 4. Sounds good to me. That's the kind of stuff that we like to hear. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to push that on the Twitters. Hashtag climate change. Hashtag climate crisis. Alright, because nobody ever talks about the good stuff. So we're going to talk about the good stuff. That's what we're doing right now. Might not be a good enough article to make my blog, but I'll at least put it on Twitter. And remember, you can always follow me on Twitter at Andrew Geczy. That's there. And then you can get all my latest updates and things. Let's see. Woman who had miscarriage on Malta trip can't get abortion. Well, doesn't that suck? John Williams, 90, steps away from film, but not music. That's nice. That's very nice. Few Americans file for jobless aid. That's also nice, I suppose, as long as they don't need it. Blah, blah, blah. Pope Francis to visit Canada in July despite knee problems. Oh, that's nice. I mean, not the knee. Germany says it helped 21,000 people get out of Afghanistan. Good for you. La la la. Michigan to destroy some blood spots, and I don't care. Supreme Court rules out suing police for Miranda violations, which is fucked. That's pretty fucked. So they made it harder to, in what is already so difficult to hold police accountable, it is now even harder to hold police accountable. That's good to know. Mervish will drop mask mandates at its live theaters on Canada Day. Well, that's a great way to tell me that I don't want to go to a live theater. Not that I was going to a live theater, but now I am less likely to go. Thanks. I'm only going to a live theater if the people on the stage are masked. Trudeau says he still has confidence in RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucky. Lucky her. I'm sorry, that was too easy. Water receding slowly in flood-hit northeast Bangladesh. That's good. The water is all receding. Fantastic. Affected a lot of people. Ex-Venezuela mayor pleads guilty for $3.8 million in bribes. A one-time ally of the late Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez pleads guilty in Miami on Thursday for taking $3.8 million in bribes in exchange for steering lucrative oil contracts from foreign-owned joint ventures to officials in Venezuela's socialist government and military. Jonathan Marin served as mayor of the port city of Guanta for nearly a decade until 2017, when he abruptly resigned and fled Venezuela amid a major purge at state-run oil giant PDVSA. The government of Chavez's successor, Nicolas Maduro, later ordered his arrest on corruption charges and banned him from running for public office. He quietly surrendered in Miami in April on a single count of conspiring to commit an offense against the U.S., a lesser charge that carries a maximum term of 5 years in prison. He was released the same day on a $100,000 bond, according to court records. As part of the plea agreement signed Thursday, he agreed to cooperate fully with federal agents investigating widespread corruption inside Venezuela. According to a statement accompanying the plea agreement, Marin admitted that he took $3.8 million from an unnamed co-conspirator to use his position to influence officials at PDVSA joint ventures. Yeah, I feel like we've read enough. Corrupt dude in Venezuela was corrupt. Cool. Not really news. I mean, I'm glad that he is now facing judgment. Well, that's about it. Amazon providing $23 million for affordable housing in Seattle. Amazon said Thursday it is providing $23 million to help minority-led organizations build or preserve more than 500 new affordable housing units in Seattle. The latest spending by a tech company to ease a severe housing crunch the industry has helped create. So they're trying to give back after... The commitment comes from Amazon's Housing Equity Fund, a $2 billion initiative launched in January 2021. The fund has so far invested more than $1.2 billion to create or preserve over 8,000 affordable homes across 3 regions where the company has offices. So it's to try and give their workers affordable housing, is what I'm guessing. When our cities, businesses, and private partners step up, like Amazon is doing through this significant investment, we can accelerate progress addressing difficult challenges like housing affordability, Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell said in a news release announcing the investment. The high salaries tech companies pay have helped drive up housing costs in the cities where they operate, pricing many people, including teachers, nurses, firefighters, and restaurant employees, out of the communities where they work. The industry was long criticized for failing to address that, but in recent years tech giants have taken big steps. In 2019, Apple committed $2.5 billion toward affordable housing in the San Francisco Bay Area. Google devoted $1 billion. Microsoft said it would provide $750 million in housing grants and investments in the Puget Sound region, and Facebook's now Meta said it would spend $1 billion to help address the housing crisis in California by creating up to $20,000 in new affordable housing units. Or no, creating up to 20,000 new affordable housing units. Worth $1 billion, I would guess. The Amazon Housing Equity Fund offers grants and low-rate loans to housing providers that create or preserve affordable homes with an emphasis on supporting households earning 30 to 80% of an area's median income. Really kind of puts into perspective the ways that factors that you wouldn't normally expect to lead to things like homelessness and poverty can lead to homelessness and poverty, such as a certain industry raising, it sounds like raising wages so far above everything else in the area, and then people get priced out of their homes. Amazon is working with 3 organizations: the Mont Baker Housing Authority, El Centro de la Raza, and Gardner Global on 4 housing projects totaling 568 units in South Seattle neighborhoods that feature large populations of people of color and which have rapidly gentrified or are at risk of doing it. Every time I read the word gentrified, I can't help but think of that South Park episode where Soto Sopa, where they build the gentrification around Kenny's house. It's a really good episode, worth watching. Moving on. Elon Musk's daughter granted legal name and gender change. You're kidding. A California judge has approved a request by Tesla CEO Elon Musk's adult daughter to change her name and gender on her birth certificate. Vivian Jenna Wilson filed the petition in Los Angeles County Superior Court the day after turning 18 in April. She listed gender identity and an apparent dislike of her father as the reason for the change. Really, I no longer live with or wish to be related to my biological father in any way, shape, or form, she wrote on the petition. I don't blame her. Judge Rafael Onqueco approved the petition Wednesday in the Santa Monica courthouse after no one objected to the change. A hearing that had been scheduled for Friday was canceled. The court order said a new birth certificate would be issued reflecting the change. Vivian will now legally use the last name of her mother, Canadian author Justine Wilson, who was married to Musk from 2000 to 2008. The couple had 5 children, the oldest of which died as an infant. That's horrible. Vivian has a twin brother. Musk had 5 kids with this woman? That is so many kids. Between 2000 and 2008, he had 5 kids in 8 years. And he's been married 3 times, and that's just one of his marriages, including twice. He's been married twice to Westworld actress Tallulah Riley. If you didn't think we were gonna look that up, then you had another thing coming. Oh, that's who she is. You don't say. It's the one who, like, you know, at the beginning with the hat or whatever, is like, pick your hat. I do believe that's the one that... See, yeah, she helped him get dressed and shit, and she's like, pick your hat, black or white. And he asks if she's the host, and she doesn't answer the question. It's like, is she? Who knows? Apparently, he married her twice. And he also has 2 young children with... How many fucking kids does Musk have? Do you see that quote? On Father's Day, Musk tweeted, I love all my kids so much. All of them. Just, you know, he doesn't know where they all are. But boy, does he love them so much. How many kids does he have? I cannot get off this topic, I know. How many kids does Elon Musk have? Something tells me that's gonna be like a complicated question. 8. He has 8 kids. Let's look at their names. They are Vivian Jenna Wilson. I guess that was the one that just changed her name. Xaeaxi. Nevada Alexander Musk. Griffin Musk. Exa Dark Side Rail. Damien Musk. I mean, is that the Antichrist? Kai Musk. Alright, those are his 8 children. Was that 8? I wasn't keeping count. Fascinating. That's just so... There is this belief of certain people who are super narcissistic that part of like it's almost like a religion sort of thing where it's like your goal is to spread your seed far and wide, and I can't help but feel like, I mean, look at fucking Genghis Khan. I can't help but feel like that's what this fucker is trying to do. Like, he's such a fucking narcissist that he's trying to spread his seed far and wide, and I fucking hate it. I hate it because in July 2020 he tweeted pronouns suck. Alright, well, no wonder she hates him. And I hate him. I hate him. He sucks. Moving on. It's totally on brand, though. You gotta admit, it's just completely on brand. Thank God my computer's not dying and again. The last time it died, just blue screen. I was like, just getting started on the nightly news and blue screen. The mouse stopped working, it was a nightmare. But everything seems to be good now, thank the gods. Majority of Ontarians say rising gas prices have impacted road trip plans. In what way? We're not going on a road trip. That's they don't exist anymore. They've destroyed them. New York leaders vow new gun limits after Supreme Court ruling. That's right, Supreme Court ruled that it was okay for people to conceal carry a handgun anywhere in New York. So that's a curious decision, but okay. Sounds like a great way to have more shootings, but okay. Karen Gillan talks working with director Taika Waititi for the first time on the Thor Love and Thunder red carpet. That sounds cool. I love Nebula, so I'm excited that she's going to be in the movie then. I wonder if Gamora is going to be in the movie as well. Weren't they hanging out together, I thought? Or am I crazy? Blah, blah. 8 more die as Haiti prisons lack food and water. That's horrible. An official said Thursday that at least 8 inmates have died at an overcrowded prison in Haiti that ran out of food 2 months ago. What? Adding to dozens of similar deaths this year as the country's institutions crumble. That's horrible. Hunger and oppressive heat contributed to the inmates' deaths reported this week by the prison in the southwest city of Les Cayes. Ronald Richmond, the city's government commissioner, told the Associated Press. He said the prison houses 833 inmates. Whoever can help should help immediately because the prisoners are in need, he said. The United Nations Security Council released a report last week saying 54 prison deaths related to the malnutrition were documented in Haiti between January and April alone. It urged Haiti's government to take the necessary measures to find a long-lasting solution to the prison food, water, and medicine crisis. The country's severely overcrowded prison system has long struggled to provide food and water to inmates. It blames insufficient government funds, and the problem has worsened in recent months, leading to a new rise in severe malnutrition and deaths. That's horrible. By law, prisons in Haiti are required to provide inmates with water and 2 meals a day, which usually consists of porridge and a bowl of rice with fish or some type of meat. But in recent months, inmates have been forced to rely solely on friends or family for food and water, and many times they are unable to visit because gang-related violence makes some areas impassable. So they're not getting any food and water, except from people coming to the prisons. That's insane. The nonprofit joined 3 other organizations this year to feed the roughly 11,000 inmates. Which nonprofit? I don't know. In Haiti's 20 prisons for 3 months, helping at a time when the country was increasingly unstable following the July 7th killing of President Jovenel Moise. But the situation has since deteriorated. These deaths are very painful, she said. The internal organs start to fail one by one. It's a horrible thing to witness. This sounds horrible. Health Through Walls has launched, I guess that's the name of the nonprofit, has launched several programs. That's just it doesn't really sound like a name at all, but anyway, has launched several programs to target the problem long term, including starting a garden at a prison in northern Haiti that produces spinach and other crops, along with a chicken coop and planned fish farm. But that's one prison, Karshan said. The bottom line is the prison system has to take responsibility. They can't sit back. They're the government. That is fucked. The Cays and other cities in Haiti's southern region also have been affected by a spike in gang violence that has blocked the main roads leading out of Haiti's capital, making it extremely difficult to distribute food and other supplies to the rest of the country. In addition, a water pump that Le Cay's prison relies on has long been broken, forcing relatives and friends of inmates to carry buckets of water from long distances, Richmond said. That's horrifying. Les Cay's, like surrounding cities, is also still struggling to recover from a 7.2 magnitude earthquake that struck southwest Haiti in August, killing more than 2,200 people and destroying or damaging thousands of buildings. Sounds like shit is like pure nightmare fuel in Haiti. Richmond said some of the prison cells were destroyed and have not been rebuilt. Honestly, I am sharing this because this is some old bullshit. You know, this had though. This it's like things are pure nightmare fuel in Haiti. And I'll add that to my list of headlines that are going into the Geeky Weekly blog. Cause that is some fucked up shit. The cell occupancy rate in Haiti stands at more than 280% of capacity, with 83% of inmates stuck in pre-trial detentions that in some cases can drag on for more than a decade before an initial court appearance, according to the UN. Many prisoners take turns sleeping on the floor while others simply stand or try to make hammocks and attach them to cell windows, paying someone to keep their spot. Insane. In January 2010, some 400 detainees at the prison in Les Cayes rioted to protest the worsening conditions. Authorities said police killed at least 12 inmates and up to 40 others were wounded. The situation is getting worse every day. They can only fix the problem for 1 or 2 weeks. After that, the problem will continue. Today, it's Les Cayes. Tomorrow, it's somewhere else. Horrible. Moldova, a tiny port bordering Ukraine, gets EU candidacy. The European Union announced Thursday that it has granted EU candidate status to Moldova, a poor non-NATO Eastern European country bordering war-torn Ukraine, which likely won't enjoy the perks of full bloc membership for years to come. Along the road, Moldova will need to enact reforms in areas such as tackling corruption, organized crime, strengthening human rights, and the rule of law. The former Soviet republic, landlocked between Romania and Ukraine, applied to join the 27-nation bloc just days after Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th. What about Ukraine? When does it get to join the EU? Fauci says he's example for COVID-19 vaccinations. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, says his COVID-19 recovery is an example for the nation on the protection offered by vaccines and boosters. Speaking during a White House briefing, Fauci, 81, said he began experiencing virus symptoms on June 14th and tested positive a day later. He was prescribed the antiviral drug Paxlovid, which has proven to be highly effective at preventing serious illness and death from COVID-19 on June 15th. I'm still feeling really quite fine, Fauci said Thursday, as the administration emphasized protection offered by vaccines to people of all ages after the US became the first country in the world to extend vaccine eligibility to children as young as 6 months. I think I'm an example, given my age, of what we're all talking about today, Fauci said. I'm vaccinated, I'm doubly boosted, and I believe if that were not the case, I very likely would not be talking to you looking as well as I look, I think, right now. So all is well with Fauci. That's from the Associated Press. As I said, most of this is from the Associated Press. Afghan quake adds to emergencies in country. No shit. Mexico's central bank hikes its prime lending rate to 7.75%. NASA, give us back our moon dust and cockroaches. Okay. No, I don't care. Ex-US Vice President Mike Pence announces Tehran brutality. Good for him. No shits here. Takeaway from the hearing, most recent January 6th hearing, is that Trump risks provoking constitutional crisis. Just another one of those oh shit moments. No shit moments. Oh shit moments. Oh shit. No. I don't even want to know what's going on over there. Well, you're welcome to read those, but we keep hearing stuff out of that hearing, and it never leads to anything, so I remain unconvinced, but hopeful. Raped girl 11 gets abortion after initial refusal. Well, thank God for that. Not her being raped, but I'm glad she is being granted an abortion. Can you imagine being 11 years old and being pregnant? That is, oh my God. Can you imagine being 11 years old and being raped? This is a shitty ass world. Let me tell you. Alright. And that is the end of that. Now, let us go to Vice. This climate guru is a celebrity in the US. In India, he's accused of destroying a forest. Okay. What was that? Recurring reports about elephants attacking people. What does that have to do with this dude? Okay. Okay, whatever. Not important. Scientists concerned about public health threat as man contracts super gonorrhea. Not just regular gonorrhea, but super gonorrhea. An Austrian man in his 50s has been infected with a super potent strain of gonorrhea that can't be treated with a common antibiotics after having an unprotected sexual encounter during a trip to Cambodia. Did the person he had sex with also have super gonorrhea? The case, documented in the peer-reviewed medical journal Eurosurveillance last week, was described by the researchers to be a concern for future treatment of gonorrhea and a major public global health threat. This one dude, in April, 5 days after having unprotected sex with a sex worker in Cambodia, the man was seen by a urologist in Austria complaining of painful urination and discharge flowing out of the tip of his penis. Diagnosed with gonorrhea, he was initially prescribed regular antibiotics, but then they were like, holy shit, it's super gonorrhea, so we have to prescribe you super antibiotics. His symptoms alleviated 2 weeks later, and swab culture tests on his samples returned negative, but a PCR test done on his urethral sample showed that he was still positive for gonorrhea. A result doctors considered a possible treatment failure. After 7 days of taking amoxicillin, clavulanic, it's a type of antibiotic. Another antibiotic treatment for gonorrhea. Even I know about amoxicillin. It was in a show like Walking Dead or something at some point. The man's urethral sample again returned negative in a culture test. He did not receive a PCR test a second time. Scientists concluded, however, that the gonorrhea strain was highly resistant to common antibiotics, ceftriaxone and azithromycin. In 2018, the first such case of super gonorrhea, dubbed the WHO strain, was identified in the United Kingdom, shortly followed by 2 more cases in Australia. All of these cases also had links to Southeast Asia, the Euro surveillance report noted. If such strains manage to establish a sustained transmission, many gonorrhea cases might become untreatable, the authors said. If left untreated, gonorrhea, including asymptomatic cases, can result in infertility and an increased risk of HIV. Symptoms in men typically include painful urination, swelling in one testicle, and a pus-like discharge from the penis or rectum. Oh, great! Sometimes discharge can come out your ass. Symptoms in women include a painful sensation when peeing, increased vaginal discharge, and bleeding between periods. Oh, wonderful! So you just never stop bleeding. Gonorrhea, which is caused by the bacteria Neisseria gonorrhoeae, okay, is the second most common sexually transmitted infection worldwide after chlamydia. The World Health Organization estimates that 82 million people were infected with gonorrhea in 2020, with antimicrobial resistance an increasing cause for concern. According to the WHO, gonorrhea developed antimicrobial resistance at the beginning of the 20th century. Resistance has continued to expand since then, it said, citing increased resistance of gonorrhea to last-line antibiotics such as cefixime and ceftriaxone. Experts worry that the rise of such cases might render current treatment ineffective, potentially resulting in a sexually transmitted global epidemic. The gonorrhea microbe appears to be emerging as a superbug. The head of World Health Organization, Dr. Magnus Ianemo, told The New Yorker as far back as 2012, "This is what we have feared for many years." The Cambodian sex worker believed to also be carrying the super gonorrhea has not been identified. Anne Chorn, project manager of Cambodian Women for Peace and Development, an NGO working with sex workers, said that despite Cambodia's success in bringing down HIV rates, once the highest in Asia, access to contraceptives remained an issue. With the COVID-19 outbreak, we found that sex workers have difficulties accessing health care. We also found that female entertainment workers can't access condoms. There are an estimated 70,000 known female entertainment workers in Cambodia, since whatever the fuck any of that means, in the country as of 2019, including sex workers and those who work in entertainment venues like massage parlors and karaoke lounges. Karaoke loungers have sex workers? I'm confused. These women often come from poor families and migrate to urban areas for work, and then end up with bleeding between their periods. Ugh. Horrifying. And that's after having to have sex with a lot of shitty, gross men. Then they also get gonorrhea. It's just no light at the end of the tunnel for these people. For anyone when you're poor, really. We're just gonna move on from that. No. Somebody brought this up on Twitter the other day when we were talking about wasting money and how the rich waste money, and somebody was like, yeah, what about liberals and crushing dirt bikes in New York? What about that? I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? On Tuesday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams stood in front of a podium and declared, "As we stand in the shadow of the Freedom Tower, we are freeing ourselves of these destructive pieces of machinery that are on our streets. They will be crushed today so they can never terrorize our city again." He was talking about 96 dirt bikes and ATVs. At which point Adams waved. This feels a whole lot like GTA 5 happened, and then they were like, we have to stop this menace of dudes driving recklessly with dirt bikes and ATVs, and then this was the conclusion that the mayor came to instead of like banning guns and shit. We'll destroy these 96 dirt bikes and ATVs. That'll stop the player character from killing innocent civilians. They seized over 2,000 dirt bikes and ATVs so far this year, about twice as many as last year. They're just seizing those ATVs and dirt bikes. Dirt bikes, ATVs, modified cars, and other extra loud vehicles have been a hot button issue in many cities for years. To the people who ride them, they are a form of recreational hobby. In some cases, keeps them away from gangs and drugs. To others, they are a nuisance, and to still others like Adams, they are. So is it because they're loud? Because I do hate loud cars, but I did not expect that people would just start fucking rounding up all the loud cars and crushing them with a bulldozer. Okay. Um. That is kind of funny. Uh. And to still have like there are dangerous scourges that must rid itself of, and yet another example of a quality of life issue rhetoric that recalls the 1980s, a time Adam recalls wistfully as safer and more peaceful than today, a claim so ludicrous even the typically hysterical New York Post threw cold water on it. If the last 6 years has been any indication, the seizing and crushing of motorbikes is little more than a pointless publicity stunt. The NYPD has been doing it for years, but the problem persists, similarly to how drug and gun busts have been proven to not make a dent in gun use or violent crime because it is easy to get more. Adam says he supports finding a place people can ride the vehicles recreationally away from people's homes and businesses. This is blowing my mind, but then also like, why would people keep buying they cost money, right? So it's like, this is like, people can just buy more, but why would they continue spending money on something that's just going to be taken from them and destroyed? I don't understand. Is it worth it that much to have something that goes like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I kind of see both sides of this argument. What an absurdity. You can't have a whole city full of dirt bikes and say, I don't care, I'm just going to make arrests. What? Eckerson told the Daily News almost a decade ago, that's not a responsible solution. This is an epidemic of dirt bikes? This is not going to go away under any circumstances. I am so confused. What? Anyway, moving on. This is a great time to buy NFT because it's such a down market right now. This is exactly what people who have NFTs want you to think, because if you pay for it, then it'll help the market go up. But no, we're not going to fall for that. We know better than to ever put money into any kind of cryptocurrency. Don't do it. It's a pyramid scheme. Why are the weirdest people online obsessed with organ meats? I mean, why are the weirdest people online obsessed with all kinds of weird ass shit? Because they're weird people. A QAnon time traveler is running a GOP congressional campaign. God, I hope that's as weird as it sounds. Austin Steinbart has a lot going on. Sounds like the beginning of a song. Austin Steinbart has a lot going on. He's had so much fun. And he's gonna get himself a gun. Oh god, this went dark. This went really dark. He claims to be a time traveler from the future. He claims he's a deep cover agent for the Defense Intelligence Agency. This is exactly what I was hoping for. He claims he is Q, which we know is wrong because it's Ron whatchamacallit. Ron whatchamapoopy face. Ron Q person. Ron Watkins is Q, see? All I had to do was type Ron Q and it came up with Ron Watkins. And he looks like this dude, and he's a fucking weirdo, and that's Q. And he pretty much admits it at the end of the HBO documentary, if you watch all 4 episodes. Anyway, this dude who thinks he's Q, he claims QAnon is a military intelligence operation that uses space-age quantum technology to post messages from the future to internet forums in the present. His ideas are too out there for the vast majority of QAnon followers who have dismissed him as a kook. Wow, even the kooks dismiss him as a kook. So of course, when retired NFL star turned Republican congressional candidate Jerome Davison began looking for a campaign manager, Steinbart was a natural choice. What? What? Or at least a natural choice in the Republican Party still enthralled to former President Donald Trump, whose obsession with lies about the stolen election have brought QAnon conspiracies into... So this dude is considered crazy by crazy people, and still he was hired as a campaign manager? What? Why is it that the crazier people are, the more qualified they are for the Republican Party? I do not understand. In a video posted on Steinbart's Discord channel in early June announcing his role as a campaign manager, the man who refers to himself as Baby Q told followers that he had created a campaign site for Davison to go really hard on the Q stuff in his campaign messaging. This included a campaign website that had QAnon slogans hidden in the metadata. Horrifying. Steinbart also got in trouble with the authorities in September 2020 after he was found to be using a fake penis, or a Wizinator. I bet you didn't expect the word penis to come up in multiple stories this day. To avoid taking a routine drug test. Well, you're kidding me. So to avoid a drug test, he had a fake penis? And now he's a campaign manager for... What the actual fuck? Steinbart also appeared on whoever Price is, in a right-wing Jim Price show. Appeared on his show this week promising that Davison would be a nuclear-grade red pill for the country. He also said that he was explicitly creating campaign promotional material that wasn't overtly pro-Trump in an attempt to help Davison win over Democratic voters. Well, that's... good luck with that one, buddy. QAnon crazy pants over here. So if you see anything about this Davison fucker and he's trying to get your vote, don't let them fool you, because this dude is a fucking Looney Tunes wildcat. Davison has raised the least amount of money for his campaign as of March 13th of presumably anyone in his district, not just like in general, but who knows. So presumably we won't have to worry about him too hard. California sent a ton of shitty cop gear to Ukraine with no guarantee how it would be used. What does that even mean? The state of California collected 1,000 police vests and hundreds of ballistic helmets from California law enforcement agencies at the beginning of the Ukraine-Russia war to donate to Ukraine with no real idea where the equipment would go or how it would be used, according to emails obtained by Vice News. Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February, dozens of police agencies around the country began sending surplus, often expired equipment to Ukraine, intending for the gear to be used by either Ukrainian civilians or people taking up arms to defend the country. California's state government, led by the Cabinet-level Office of Emergency Services, OES, and the California National Guard, solicited donations from local law enforcement in what was perhaps the largest coordinated effort to bring surplus U.S. police gear to Ukraine. The emails about the effort, obtained through a California Public Records Act request, show that the early days of the unprecedented operation was surrounded by chaos, with hundreds of pieces... everything back then was surrounded by chaos. With hundreds of pieces of equipment, a lot expired, donated before the state could say for sure who the equipment was going to or how it would even get there. But you gotta remember that in the first little while there, we didn't expect it to last that long. We didn't expect things to go as long as they did and to be as together as they are. Like, if things had gone a different way, maybe it would have helped to just have, like, random supplies of police gear, even expired police gear hanging out in streets that people could just grab and fucking use. I get what they were going for. Anyway. The order to provide help came from Governor Gavin Newsom after he met with Dmytro Kushniruk, who serves as the Ukrainian Consul General in San Francisco. Kushniruk told Vice News that he asked Newsom to coordinate donations and said that other consulates throughout the world were making similar requests at the time. During a conversion I think that's supposed to be conversation. With Governor Newsom and the Ukrainian consulate last week, the subject of ballistic helmets, vests, and other protective equipment, i.e. gloves, goggles, etc. came up. It appears that the Ukrainian government is in desperate need of this type of equipment. Some person wrote a March 5th email. Ballistic helmets and vests can be of any level, and they will even take equipment that has expired. That's how desperate they are, O'Keefe wrote. Newsom said he donated his own bulletproof vest during a March 15th event when he helped pack emergency relief supplies for Ukraine. 2 days later, Steve Scorry, the OES assistant chief for law enforcement, sent a memo to all California sheriffs, police chiefs, and other law enforcement executives that said that the Ukrainian consulate has requested ballistic helmets, ballistic vests, and other tactical safety equipment such as goggles, gloves, etc. Yeah, okay, we get it. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this was a story written by Ben Makuch. I just remembered that I should be probably, if I'm doing this kind of stuff. The previous story about the QAnon time traveler was a story by David Gilbert. The story about dirt bike crushing, Aaron Gordon, and of course, the stories. The Super Gonorrhea story is by someone named Ko Away. Go away. I don't want you here. I want you to go away. I'm sorry I made fun of your name. I'm a terrible human being. But yes. As for the Associated Press, they were all discredited to the Associated Press, so nothing I can do about that. Judges deny challenge to psilocybin patent. Alright. Excuse me. Isn't that a bad thing? So somebody wants a patent on psilocybin mushroom, something that has been free to roll for a long time now, and people tried to challenge it, but the challenges were overturned. And that's all we need to know about that. Moving on. Among the landlords don't care. The Supreme Court just struck a huge blow to gun regulation. The law in the landmark gun rights decision, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled against New York's concealed carry law. The law requires people to demonstrate they have a special need for self-protection in order to be allowed to carry a handgun in public. It has been in place since 1913. So they overturned a fucking gun law that was in place since 1913 about open carry. That is insane. Absolutely insane. Ugh. In his dissent, Justice Stephen Breyer noted the huge number of mass shootings in the U.S. this year. Yeah, and the Supreme Court saw that and were like, hey, you know what would help if we got rid of gun laws? We need less gun restrictions. That's what we need. What? Marjorie Taylor Greene got a pardon? What absurdity is this? I'm very confused by that, but it's fucked. Anyway, moving on. Ugh. Absolutely insane. Shootings have gone up in New York City, and the answer was, hey, less gun restrictions. That's what we need. Okay, a drug lord who died of COVID last year was just arrested in Europe. Excuse me? He was living under a fake identity under the name of Paul Wuter, according to authorities. He was arrested in Hungary. and June 21st. I'm half Hungarian, but turns out that country's gone to shit since forever, long before I was born. Anyway, that was about all we need to know about that, I think. A guide to safer sex with people with vulvas. Don't all women have vulvas? I'm very confused. Probably just said something really... I'm very confused. Let's just move on. House Democrat blames Marjorie Taylor Greene for homophobic death threat. Why? A death row inmate asked SCOTUS if he can die by firing squad, and they said yes. The Supreme Court ruled Thursday that a Georgia death row inmate can die by firing squad instead of lethal injection. That's honestly, I have nothing negative to say about that, because lethal injection has a lot of controversy around it. So if he wants to be shot instead, and they're really desperate to kill this dude, then do what you gotta do. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, however, disagreed based on the concept of federalism. In her dissenting opinion, she argued that because Georgia could have ultimately been blocked from carrying out Nance's execution, if the state couldn't find a way to figure out the firing squad, allowing him the option risks infringing on states' rights. Okay. Blah 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 blah. She says stuff. He gets threats. He blames her. The guy in the voicemail who sent to the hey you little cocksucker, you still banging the Chinese spy Fang Fang and stinking up the fucking capital with your farts, you little cocksucker, the man in the voicemail says. Well, that's incredibly vulgar. We're coming to your house this weekend, the man added. Gonna get you and them little mutant bastards. Jesus Christ, what bunch of racist bullshit. This is the kind of shit that... This is like, these are the people that vote conservative. And don't be one of them. Just don't. Gross. Green said she wanted the U.S. Department of Justice to prosecute the staffer. So far they have not. Why? What? More recently, she claimed that she's a victim herself, accusing the chief of staff of a House Democratic lawmaker on the House floor Tuesday of attacking my office and my Christian faith by placing a small sign saying, Pharisee is as Pharisee knows, over a transphobic sign Green has outside her office. Fuck off, Green. Ew, what? Ew, what? Ew, what? Ew, what? Government scientists discover biggest bacteria ever visible to the naked eye. This is like my nightmare. That is my literal nightmare. That isn't my nightmare. It's my nightmare. I hate things that are small. I hate how gross they are, and the idea that things that are small can grow big enough that you can see it and it can like attack you and shit is like horrifying. Scientists have discovered a bacteria with cells that measure a full centimeter in length, an astonishing size that makes it by far the largest bacterial species ever found, and even challenges our concept of a bacterial cell, reports a new study. Bacteria are an extraordinarily diverse group of organisms that have inhabited Earth for billions of years and have evolved to occupy a dizzying variety of niches. Still, almost all of these microbes are composed of simple cells that measure about 2 microns in diameter, which is about 40 times smaller than a strand of human hair. Margarita magnifica is a bacteria discovered on sunken red mangrove leaves in Guadeloupe, Lesser Antilles, and has blown this standard scale out of the water. The species has evolved filamentary cells that are larger than all other known giant bacteria by 50-fold, making them visible to the naked eye. Scientists led by Jean-Marie Voland a marine biologist who holds joint appointments at the Laboratory for Research in Complex Systems and the Joint Genome Institute, JGI, a U.S. Department of Energy office at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, suspect that this record-breaking adaptation is partly due to the astonishing number of duplicated genes wielded by the T. magnifica, an ability that is known as polyploidy. These cells grow orders of magnitude over theoretical limits for bacterial cell size and display unprecedented polyploidy of more than 500,000 copies of a very large genome. Volan's team note in the study, such features indicate gain of complexity in the Theomargarita lineage and challenge traditional concepts of bacterial cells. Scientists first stumbled across a T. magnifica more than a decade ago in the mangrove forest in the Caribbean island group of Guadalupe, but the species has defied easy characterization for years, although it belongs to a family of largely single-celled organisms called prokaryotes, which includes bacteria and archaea. Its size and structure is more reminiscent of eukaryotes, which encompasses animals, plants, and other complex multicellular life forms. Bacteria and archaea are taxonomically and metabolically the most diverse and abundant organisms on Earth, but with only a small fraction of them isolated in culture, we remain grossly ignorant of their biology, the team noted in the study. Although most model bacteria and archaea are small, some remarkably large cells referred to as giant bacteria are evident in at least 4 phyla, which is a term for a specific group of life forms. The research continued. Such bacterial giants raise the question of whether other lineages of previously unidentified macrobacteria might exist. This question, along with the mysterious combination of traits in the T. magnifica, prompted an international effort to better understand the genetic makeup and cellular structure of these strange organisms. Folden and his colleagues used fluorescence, X-ray, and electron microscopy, along with genome sequencing, to unveil new details about the processes inside these huge cells. The results revealed that these bacteria contain DNA clusters in their cells, which are located in compartments bordered by membranes that the team called pepins. These organized pepins provide a stark contrast to the free-floating DNA seen in the cells of most bacteria. In addition, the team's genetic sequencing revealed that T. magnifica contains hundreds of thousands of genome copies that are dispersed across the cell, adding up to about 3 times the number of genes in most bacteria, which is an extreme example of polyploidy. These cellular features likely allow the organism to grow to an unusually large size and circumvent some of the biophysical and energetic limitations on growth, Voland and colleagues said. The identification of the T. magnifica represents a major milestone for microbiologists, but the study notes that there are still many open questions about the life cycle, cellular mechanisms, and evolutionary history of this undefeated bacterial giant. The researchers also suggested that, what does it mean by undefeated? Like, are we throwing them in gladiatorial combat or something? Are we incapable of beating them? Are they, like, killing humans or something? I don't understand. What? Anyway. The discovery of T. magnifica suggests the large and more complex bacteria may be hiding in plain sight, concluded Voland and his colleagues. Investigating biology, energy, metabolism, and formation nature and role of pepins will take us a step closer to understanding the evolution of biological complexity. That was a story by Becky Ferreira on Vice News. We want water. Here are all the Republicans who begged Trump for pardons. I'm not going past that. Is there just like a list? Can I just read the list? No list. Okay, so, Gates, that makes sense. Representative Mo Brooks. And every congressman and senator. Okay, well, good luck with that. Yeah, just basically Gates and Brooks. Gates. I mean, none of this is a surprise to anyone. Thanks for wasting my time, Vice. Moving on. Boop 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 boo doo doo. Moving on. Let's just move on to everything. Dee 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 dee. We're into the science and entertainment section of the news. The everything else period of the news. 11 times Elon Doge father Musk told people to never invest in crypto. Tell me more. This is a story on Gizmodo by Jody Serrano. The Tesla CEO said this week that he never ever told people to invest in cryptocurrency. Check out his tweets and decide for yourself. What? Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who last year proclaimed himself the Doge father, wants you to know that he never told people to invest in cryptocurrency, sparking confusion among those familiar with his enthusiasm for the subject. Speaking on Tuesday at Bloomberg's Qatar Economic Forum, the richest man in the world stepped away from his past bullishness on cryptocurrency, a move that seems fitting given all virtual currencies' recent downward spiral. He even went so far as to suggest he's only supporting Dogecoin as a favor to folks who aren't that wealthy. I have never said that people should invest in crypto. In the case of Tesla, SpaceX, myself, we all did buy some Bitcoin, but it's a small percentage of our total cash assets, the Tesla CEO said, adding, I intend to personally support Dogecoin because I just have a lot of people who are not that wealthy who have encouraged me to buy and support Dogecoin. So I'm responding to those people, just people who work at... It's amazing the way you can twist things to be like, no, I'm just, trying to do good things and help people. Fuck off. Whatever. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a very interesting article at all. Also, the headline is very misleading, so fuck you. But, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm glad to know he's now turning his back on all the fucking cryptocurrency people and denying everything he's done to lose people so much money. I told you guys from the beginning it was a fucking pyramid scheme, but nobody ever listened to me. Ms. Marvel's Matt Lintz was in the running to be the MCU's Spider-Man. Well, he looks like he would have done alright. I haven't watched Star Trek Strange New Worlds yet, but I'm excited to. No Man's Sky coming to Nintendo Switch in October. Honestly, I want to play it on PlayStation so I can play it with the VR, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. MMORPG burnout. Burnout is a real issue in anything in life, but it seems to strike many of us as we play through our favorite games. MMORPGs can make this feel even more real, especially if you spend hours upon hours in our favorite virtual worlds. Talk about first world problems, am I right? Play other games is what this is all about, apparently. When I'm burnt out in one game, I play a different game. Cool, thanks. And you got paid to write that? Wow. A lot of people are talking about No Man's Sky on Switch. I guess it's impressive. Super Stardust Portable is now on PlayStation Plus Premium. Whoopity-doo. the workaround for the game-breaking bug in KOTOR 2. Or you could just not play it. Seems easier. Yuji Naka confirms that Michael Jackson wrote music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which is why apparently in Sonic Origins they've replaced all the music. Which, alright. Bridgerton's Simone Ashley watched sensual snail mating clips to prepare for sex scenes. That sounds about right. Okay then. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 smashes past 400 million at the box office. Whoopity-doo. That's horrifying. Amazon touts Alexa voice feature that can imitate your dead loved ones. Why? Why? Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Titanic's been remastered. There's season 4 trailer for What We Do in the Shadows. That's nice. Elon Musk applies for underground layer. Oh, he wants to build a stupid tunnel. Is that what it is? Don't care. Well, that's nice. Remastered Blade Runner Adventure now available on PC and console. That's nice. It's supposed to be a good game. Oh, Wrath of the Lich King closed beta is already opening. Some people are saying it'll be out by the end of the summer. Apparently all the other versions of Classic have launched in the summer. Vehicles. Cool. I want to be a part of that fresh start server. I'm excited for that. I'm also excited for this Xbox Cloud Service mouse and keyboard support. That sounds pretty cool to me. You can get a free Pokemon Legends mask. Let's claim it through the mystery gift functionality. Do I need a code or anything, or do I just... Maybe I just click it and it'll give it to me. I'll have to check that out. I don't feel great. Let's rush through the rest of these. The Duffer Brothers say we should all expect a dark Stranger Things Season 4 finale. Well, that's exciting. Or bad, we'll see. Early Intel Arc A370M benchmarks are grim. That's not good. Heat stress might curdle the dairy industry. Alright. That's probably because of those cows dying. That's probably why they're bringing that up. Don't care about Fire Emblem Warriors. Ooh, the silliest episode of Star Trek? That's could be fun. I look forward to watching that. I've heard good things about this trailer for this movie Smile. That it's super scary, but I haven't watched it yet. I would suggest we watch it together, but I'm kind of rushing through this at this point. My tummy's all twisted in knots. I don't know if it's because I need to eat something or what, but definitely think we should wrap this up. PCI Express 7.0 standard provides 8 times bandwidth of today's connections. Huh. La-di-da. Xbox Series X and S has outsold PS5 in Japan again. Yeah. Do it. Make it so. Microsoft. Win that fight. New York City is offering the monkeypox vaccine to men who have sex with men. Okay. Obi-Wan Kenobi was as broken as its hero. It's true, he is very broken. Oh, I see what it's saying. It's saying that the show was as broken as the hero in the show. I actually agree that the show wasn't. But you'll learn that more tomorrow night when I release Geekly Weekly, and you can check out my review for Obi-Wan there. Movie director Lena Dunham returns with a trailer for Sharp Stick, whatever Sharp Stick is. I heard there's a big eShop sale. I'll have to check that out at some point. Super Mario Odyssey is 30% off. That's cool. Blah 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 blah. I'm definitely curious about this. Brave white man Nathan Fillion has come forward to say that he would work again with fellow man Joss Whedon in a second. However, he probably love any work that does not involve playing a rookie cop in 2022. I mean, listen, by his own admission, that guy is a work in progress, and I appreciate that. I would work with Joss again in a second. I would work with him again in a second. I mean, did you not care about the way he destroyed Justice League, or was an asshole to Wonder Woman, or was an asshole to the guy who played Cyborg? Fillion most famously led Whedon's space western show Firefly as Captain Malcolm Mal Reynolds. When the show was cancelled after one season, Fillion went on to star in the spin-off film Serenity. He also worked with Whedon on Much Ado About Nothing, Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, and appeared in 7 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer as a terrifyingly misogynistic preacher named Caleb. Aligning himself with the infamous director, Fillion says he didn't witness Whedon engaging in any on-set abuse during their time working together. I read that article, and nowhere in there at any point in time did he mention Firefly. I had it entirely, and that was not my experience with that man. Okay. On the podcast, he describes Whedon as funny, self-deprecating, incredibly talented, and maybe a little haunted. Okay. Anyway. Guess I don't need that anymore. My tummy hurts. Pentagon unveils plan to make responsible military AI more than just a buzzword. Good luck with that. Chris Helmsworth does the splits on Thor Love and Thunder. Well, cool. Blah. Ever heard of giant bacteria? So that's what that looks like. Gross. Super gross. Oh good, there's more Max in the next couple episodes. That's good. Oy. I feel like I could throw up. It just suddenly hit me really hard. It's like waves are just pushing in on me. Blah 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 blah. Let's get to the end of this. Everybody's talking about that Switch sale. I really gotta check out that Switch sale. Taika Waititi borrowed Peter Jackson's gear for What We Do in the Shadows, whatever that means. The 8 worst apocalypse bunkers in science fiction. I'm sure a lot of them would be in the Fallout series. Did they literally do experiments on people there? Oh, the 100 out of Fallout bunker? That's cool. Yeah, I know that's interesting. Goodbye. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's bullshit, but okay. Tom Brady's movie is now the most anticipated film of the year? Yeah, right. $15,000 later, Diablo Immortal player finally has legendary gem. Horrible. Horrible. Alright. We're ending that. Alright, so that's the end of the nightly news. That's really all it is. We just scroll through some news. I really didn't want to make a thing of it. It really kind of sucks that my laptop failed twice to try and get this started. 3 times? I can't remember anymore. Blah, 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 blah. There won't be any one of the next one will be on Monday. The next nightly news will be Monday night, so you can look forward to that. If you're looking forward to, if you want to keep up with the news while we're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then you can check out the Geekly Weekly blog that will release Friday night. And also follow me on Twitter at Andrew Geczy. That's AndrewGeczy on Twitter, and you'll be able to see me post important news stories there. Anyway, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you. Check out my site, 99geek.ca, and peace.